YouTube says it has had enough of vaccine misinformation on its site.
And false stories from phony sites to run circles around major news outlets.
Many people don't know the difference between something real and something created to deceive them.
Open your eyes.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Unless you're wearing a blindfold right now or somebody's thrown fecal matter in your eyes, you probably are seeing the beginning of the demise and the collapse of the world. That's right, that might sound extreme, but we're seeing the banking collapse, all of this coinciding with government, pretty much the government refusing to operate as a government for the people. We're seeing the government, and people are starting to finally see through it in places like France, in places like Brazil, where I covered how they have the same exact narrative as the January 6th Capitol in Brazil. They did the same exact story, the same exact false flag psyop in Brazil. And of course, that video got removed from YouTube on a different channel. Why wouldn't it? But unless you're completely blind, you should be able to see by now that they are purposely putting these politicians in these positions all around the world to destroy our countries. All of these people have been placed there, from Macron to Trudeau to Lula to Biden to Trump previously. They've all been placed there to create chaos. And we're seeing chaos. Now, the stuff with Trump and the division between the left and the right is going to come to a head very soon. We already see the writing on the wall with more false flags coming this week. At least they're hinting at it. I did a video up on the website, callforuprising.com. Today, I just put it up. If you haven't seen it and you remember the website, check it out. If you're not a member, I recommend you join the website for exclusive content where it can't get censored. I mean, I've gone through this over and over again with channels. But anyway, the Proud Boys are in New York. Well, that really is convenient that the Proud Boys are in New York, right? You know, because if you actually had common sense and you saw what happened on January 6th, according to what they told us, of course, which is all these people, you mean these government agents who showed up there, who were supposedly arrested, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, the stuff they're doing now with Tucker Carlson to drive everybody crazy, the left and right, the seesaw I always talk about. Well, if you saw it and you heard, hey, they're putting people in jail for 10 years just for showing up at these protests, you probably, when Trump was calling for protests and to save America on Tuesday, probably wouldn't show up if you had common sense, right? But of course, they would show up. And of course, they would go after Drag Story Hour because they got to rile up the other side, don't they? And be bigots and hateful people so they can lump all Christians in with this group. And the whole thing is unbelievable. So all around the world, we're seeing collapse. We're not just seeing governments turning on their people, we're seeing banks collapse. This is obviously a part of their plan. I've been talking about the banking collapse this week. I've been talking about it for years. Everybody knows it's pretty much common sense of the market and that the banks have to crash to have a federal currency. This is all part of the market of the beast. And of course, how convenient all these banks are crashing at once. And people are believing that these banks are crashing because they're getting brainwashed into thinking that, oh, the guys who run the banks are just woke lunatics. Also, they don't know how to run a bank. So they just want you to believe, just like with Biden and Kamala Harris, they want you to believe that these people are incompetent because they don't want you to believe that they're sabotaging our lives. That's what they're doing. Remember Klaus Schwab when he talked about how we'd be in an angrier world, remember?
So we have to prepare for a more angry world. And how to prepare? It means to take the necessary action to create a fairer world.
Oh, well, it's an angrier world. It's a much angrier world because people are starting to get fed up with government, but this is part of what they want. But see, the problem is that in America, we still have this wall, this left-right divide. Because if the people band together, like maybe some of the people in France who aren't caring what political party they're associated with, because, Macron just went against his entire, or Macron, whatever you say his name is, Justin Trudeau's boyfriend, just went against everything, everything that the people demanded and wanted, and as somebody who serves in power, he's kind of supposed to do these things, and he went against and overturned and overrode a bill so that, they could push back the retirement age, so people band together because they go, well, this is screwing everyone, doesn't matter if you're left or right or whatever, this isn't fair. So this is what is happening in France.
Days of protests erupting in the streets of Paris, the unrest fueled by anger over the government's plan to raise the retirement age from 62 to 64. Protesters tossed fireworks at police as they clashed for a third straight night. Hundreds have been arrested across the country since protests began in January. ABC's Inez de la Catera reporting from Paris tonight.
Tonight, heated new protests sweeping across France. Millions hitting the streets since mid-January to protest French President Emmanuel Macron's plan to reform pensions. At least 4,000 people marching tonight in Paris, where demonstrations have turned violent. Protesters lighting fires right in the heart of the city and clashing with police.
I saw a fire earlier. It's definitely pretty scary.
Thousands of workers also on strike, upending public transit, even sanitation.
You can see the streets of Paris are covered in mounds of trash. This one here really starting to smell. Garbage collectors have been on strike for 13 days now.
Still, President Macron says he has no choice but to raise the minimum retirement age from 62 to 64, arguing people are living longer and the government risks running a deficit. The Élysée Palace wouldn't comment, but demonstrators are calling on the government to fund pensions another way, by taxing the rich, for instance, because they say Macron's plan could hurt blue-collar workers the most.
What he wants to do is just show the markets that he can make his people bleed, so he can get the last dime from them.
And most of the people we've been speaking with oppose the proposed pension changes. Meanwhile, on Monday, lawmakers will hold a vote of no confidence in Macron's government, though it's not expected to pass.
So that's what's happening in France when people can band together. But unfortunately, here in America, we have a created, Trump delusion, QAnon nonsense that the government has pumped out through the CIA. And then the other side, you have just complete lunatics, completely insane people that are talking about men can have babies and all sorts of stuff. That really, if you told somebody 10 years ago that they were having these conversations, they would have said, what planet are you from? Well, exactly. I don't know what planet we're from anymore because we're living amongst complete morons and complete lunatics. These are the same people, like I said on the website, they're still getting boosted. Excuse me. So people are starting to see, except really in America, that the politicians are purposely being placed to destroy their countries. Okay, in Canada, you've got Trudeau doing euthanasia. I mean, they're literally is it Kevorkian? His name Jack Kevorkian? They're literally Kevorkian people in Canada.
Canadians are obviously extremely seized with this issue. It's a deeply personal issue that affects all of us in our families and all of us individually as we approach the end of our lives. And this government is focused very much on respecting Canadians' rights, defending their choices and allowing them choices while at the same time protecting the most vulnerable in society. That's what Canadians expect, and that's certainly what this government is going to do. The plan we put forward is one that respects Canadians' choices while putting into place the kinds of safeguards needed. But as we highlighted as part of the plan, the extraordinary work that the Special Joint Committee did looking at various aspects of the difficult choices that Canadians are facing, means that we have more work to do in the coming years to look at different aspects that weren't in this particular piece of legislation, this particular plan that we put forward. This is a response to the Supreme Court decision that will have a positive and significant impact on the lives of Canadians, and how we move forward in a thoughtful, respectful way. We'll engage not just parliamentarians, but all Canadians, provinces, municipalities. We know we have a lot of work to do around palliative care and quality end-of-life care, and not just ending life issues. And these things are issues that I am, quite frankly, extremely proud to be part of a parliament that has approached this ending life issues. And these things are issues that I am, quite frankly, extremely proud to be part of a parliament that has approached this in as thoughtful and responsible way as Canadians expect us to.
So this is what's happening in all these countries. You have governments in Canada who are supporting people offing themselves. You ever think you hear that? The government is funding and supporting young children offing themselves from mental health. I wonder what created the mental health. Couldn't be the 5G, couldn't be all the social media nonsense and all the mind control tactics that they're playing on people, tricking kids into thinking they're something that they're not. I mean, all the insane stuff that they're doing. So Canada's doing that. America, you pretty much have, you have a president who falls upstairs, a president who can't complete a sentence, a president who is now coming out talking about love and gay people when he was on the record as voting against gay marriage as recently as 10 years ago, and people aren't seeing through that. No. Oh, they just flip-flop. Trump at one point was pro-choice, now is pro-life, conveniently now Republican. Once was always hanging out with the Clintons. I mean, goes to Epstein Island. Is anybody not seeing this stuff, that this is a charade and a show? But you see, it's so obvious here in America that it really just want to pull your hair out at the fact that people are falling for this stuff. But you take yourself out of what they're doing where they're, deliberately destroying the banks. And then on top of that, you have the Biden administration working with Warren Buffett to bail out banks. I mean, the second I heard that, I was giggling because it's so unbelievable. And, there's not many people that have ever talked about Warren Buffett and his connection to Boys Town. That is something I'll cover on the website because it's an auto strike. But Pizzagate, yeah, check out Boys Town, the Franklin cover-up. And who do you think was protected behind that? People that have ever talked about Warren Buffett and his connection to Boys Town, that is something I'll cover on the website because it's an auto strike. But Pizzagate, yeah, check out Boys Town, the Franklin cover-up. And who do you think was protected behind that? How do you think Warren got all his money? The biggest businesses in the world, right? For bringing in money? Yeah, it's bigger than the drug trade. Yeah, it's you know what? Think about it. Boys Town, right? Kids going from Nebraska to Washington, D.C. to pay visits to George W. and the White House and others. Republican, liberal, doesn't make a difference. Satanist is what they are. That's what they identify as. So we have possibly Warren Buffett bailing America. We have France uniting together against the government because the government is so corrupt. And there's no chance for people in America that don't know Macron. This guy, there's 0% chance that this guy won re-election, just like there's 0% chance that Trudeau keeps winning re-election. I mean, nobody knows anybody who votes for these people. Now, in America, you might make the argument because we see the divide in America. But in these other countries, these people are not winning. They're being placed there. These are World Economic Forum puppets. And there's an angrier world. There's a reason that they said that an angrier world was going to be coming because they're going to be destroying everyone's way of life. Shutting down banks so that you have no money anymore. Causing food shortages. Blowing up trains so that people's water gets contaminated and their lives get ruined and their air gets polluted. Yeah, these are all coincidental, right? All happening at once, by the way. Telling the Dutch to burn their crops, to cover later this week. An updated story on that. These are all coincidentally happening at once because in the history of the world, I mean, we've seen so many things like this happen before. Food shortages, water being drained out, them telling us that it's global warming and climate change. When we know, even going back to Operation Popeye, they have the ability to cloud seed and create rain if they wanted to, so that we have crops, which would be the number one priority, you would think, in the world for every country to make sure that people have food and water, right? But instead we're fighting about making up babies in America. You can't see what's happening here? The deliberate destruction of our countries. And they're doing it through psychological operations. And that's exactly what's going on here. It's hitting the fan. All of it is hitting the fan at once. And you're going to see more. You're going to see stuff with Trump this week, whatever day they do it on, if it's 322 or not. You're going to see stuff with Biden, distractions, waste of time, banking collapses, more banks collapse, all around the world getting bailed out. Them telling you that you can no longer get credit. That's what they're going to say. They say, hey, your credit card, we're going to reduce what we can give you. The banks can't afford it anymore. Oh, we're going to take away your mortgage. Oh, we're going to do all these things because, we're just running out of money because of the woke agenda. So then they get the right riled up to the people who are incompetent, who are in charge, which they are, but they're deliberately doing it on purpose. Okay? These people are virtue signaling. They're throwing in these people know what they're doing. I hate to, for people out there to be like, no, there's no way that they know what they're doing. They're just that dumb. Well, I like to, don't we, all want to believe that they're really just that dumb. I mean, it'd probably be better if we believe that, right? Than realizing that the left and right are sabotaging our lives together because, that would be a nicer narrative. So you can at least rely on Trump or hope that one of these guys comes in and saves the day. But I got news for you. The only one saving the day is Jesus Christ. And for the rest of us who are here, until that happens, the only thing we can do is try to wake people up and take the veil off their eyes and show them what's happening. Start storing food, start storing water. They're going to take credit away from people and they're going to freeze your assets. And what good is your money if it's just, save 100 grand sitting in the bank? What good is it? You have 10 grand. What good is it? What are you saving it up for? You're not going to need it when the bank accounts are frozen and they say, look, even the money on your mattress, they go, hey, that money on your mattress don't matter no more. There's no currency value anymore. We have to start a new currency. Remember, you can own nothing and be happy. This is the new world order, ladies and gentlemen. And it's hitting the fan right now. I hope to see more people over on the website. A call for Uprising.com. Again, it's $2.99 a month. It is uncensored content. The forum is great. I just put a video up about the Proud Boys being in New York, how convenient, of course, like I said earlier in the video. But it's hitting the fan all over the world. All over the world. So if you're somebody out there, you want to support the channel, you can support the channel by subscribing to my other channels below as well. In the event that this channel gets taken down, it doesn't matter what I talk about. Because trust me, I've measured what I say, what I talk about topics, and I'm flabbergasted at some of the stuff. I've been getting hate speech strikes for bullying Mariah Carey, Jared Leto. Those are some of the last couple years. Recently, just for covering things the Satanists are doing out there in the open. Hate speech, bullying. Right? They even gave me a strike for sexual content. Huh? Yeah, this is real sexual content. I mean, what are they? They're just making it up to get me and others like me thrown off of YouTube. So I could use your support. Some of the other channels if you haven't yet. Good chance this video gets a strike, but if it does, it'll be available on the website. Thank you guys for being here again. God bless all of you and your families.
Hello, my name is Adam Ferrari, the Chief Executive Officer of Phoenix Energy.